I wish I had learned this truth many years ago. Be thankful for the days, good
Welcome
and bad.
to another episode of Warrior vs. Zombie, and we're excited to hear. I'm Dave Roberts, and I've got an awesome guest here today, Lisa Head, a warrior on many levels. But first I want to kind of talk to you, and for those who haven't joined us before on Warrior vs. Zombie, I want to talk to you about what our podcast is all about. For the warriors in the room, we know that success is a journey. It's not a destination. As warriors, we all have a history of ups and downs, wins and losses that really are all part of making us who we are, and they build a foundation for our path forward. We all battle our inner zombie as well as those zombies in our world. You know what that's like today. In each episode, I interview warriors who are aspiring leaders from all walks of life. Entrepreneurs, artists, health practitioners, business owners, really any inspired leader that has a story to tell. These warriors always have a cause, they have a unique value they bring to the equation, and really they have a vision that goes generations into the future. So that's what Warrior vs. Zombie is about. Let me talk to you for a second. I'm going to let her talk, so this isn't all about me, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about Lisa Head. So first of all, she's a warrior on many levels. I've known Lisa now for quite some time. We know her as the Fun Broker. And in Richardson Plano Networkers, was a networking group that I run as about 15 people here in Dallas, Texas. That's what we know her as. So she's always a lot of fun. And warriors can be fun. So like many warriors, she started in and graduated from corporate America. I can relate to that. And she had roles in marketing, business development, financial planning. However, as she sits here today and I'm looking at her beautiful face, she's been an entrepreneur for over 20 years. So that's pretty crazy, isn't it? You know, an entrepreneur for 20 years. She's a world traveler, adventure seeker, a full-time network marketer, and I want to hear a little bit about that. Known for her leadership and mentoring, she's built teams around the globe in excess of 40,000 people and helped many entrepreneurs build business yielding themselves 6 and 7 digit earnings, which is crazy. She's passionate about traveling and sharing the best kept secrets in the travel industry, which is one of the things I spend a lot of time talking with her about, even before we just started this podcast. She loves training. She's passionate about speaking and really inspiring others to fulfill their God-given vision while leaving a lasting legacy beyond her own lifespan. So with that, Lisa, it's you. How are you doing in these crazy times?
Well, actually, Dave, I'm doing really well. And it's definitely been interesting times, no doubt. But my husband and I are rolling with the flow, and absolutely things are going well. And it's been honestly kind of as an introvert extrovert to be able to stay at home, get caught up on some things, get refocused on, really some of the things that matter. I've enjoyed that. But I can tell you we're getting back out again. We're not living in fear, and I'm excited about what the future holds, and certainly getting back out there to traveling the world again before long as well.
Yeah, getting back out there. Man, being inside is not my game. Not being around people is not my game, as you know. So, so tell me we'll talk a little bit more going forward, but you are basically in a travel club. Obviously, people aren't able to travel much. It's had an impact. What's happening there?
Yeah, well, certainly it's no secret that the leisure travel around the world has pretty much came to a halt through all of this. Certainly people have still been getting on airplanes and doing, more of their essential travel and business travel and things like that. I do still have some friends that have been jetting down from Dallas to Cancun and getting down to some of their condos and stuff on the beach and enjoying life. So there is still still a little bit going on, but yes, for the most part, people have not been traveling as much. But you know what? One of the things that warriors do is they find a way to be able to really kind of make lemonade out of those lemons. And what our company has been doing is brokering deals all around the world at up to 75% off, which would have never been possible without this. And we're going to be locking in some great deals for our travel club members over the coming years, even after travel snaps back. So I'm excited to be able to save people money and be able to travel myself again. I will share something just kind of a little sad, is that we had this amazing trip planned for early June. We, in fact, were supposed to be in San Miguel de Allende, Mexico, which is a beautiful historic UNESCO World Heritage City. And we had this amazing tour through our travel club that was planned. And we were supposed to be there June 7th through 12th. And it did get canceled. And I was very sad about that. It wasn't my call. My husband and I, we had already discussed it. We're like, we are not afraid to get on that plane. We're not afraid to go. The pandemic had very little reach in that city down in Mexico. So we were like, yes, we're going. And then the carpet kind of got pulled out from underneath us. But, hey, it's how it goes. And I know that we'll get to go back again some other time or find something even bigger and better than that to go on. So we look forward to that. But yeah, it's definitely affected a few things right now, but the people that really understand, I think, the pandemic for what it is are about ready to get out there and start traveling again and at least get to the beach and get some much needed fresh air and ocean breezes and R&R, right?
Yeah, actually, it's crazy, but in my life, I've always learned that the biggest challenges create the biggest opportunities, and it's the warriors that look for the lemonade out of the lemons, or whatever you want to say, but look for the opportunity in every situation, like you're talking about, that are going to thrive. And I've seen that. I'm very familiar with your company, and I've seen quite an incredible pivot and or put the pedal to the metal kind of approach, which I love. I love that from all aspects. There's all kinds of opportunities. These things that are changing right now, the thing that I can't stop, it gets my brain going, wakes me up in the middle of the night, is just there's so many things that maybe weren't ready to be launched or to be part of our landscape that all of a sudden now are going to be, and some of those are pretty awesome. So good. Well, I love hearing that. Okay, so we're gonna call it for this segment. You kind of got a little bit of with Lisa and I, and we're gonna talk a lot. We got a lot more to talk about. I want to make sure we leave some time. So we come back after the break. Lisa's gonna share with us a little bit about her journey, maybe some of the zombies she's overcome, and then we'll be back and moving on into today and beyond. So that's all for this segment. This is Warrior versus Zombie with our warrior Lisa Head, and we'll be back.
But the miles become the teacher while the student learns real slow, traveling blind most of the time. Wherever you go, it's not the getting there, it's the journey every day. It's
all right. I hope you enjoyed Ricky Jean Wright, and we're back with Lisa Head, and this is Warrior versus Zombie. I'm Dave Roberts, and we're getting ready to go into some pretty exciting stuff here because I'm going to hear Lisa's story. I haven't heard. I've heard some of it, and I gave some of the introduction, but Lisa, tell me a little bit about the high points or the low points, as we said, the highs and lows of things that have brought you to today.
All right. Well, I will try to make it as brief as possible, but thank you for the opportunity to share a little bit more of my story and just kind of take people back originally. I am a country girl. I'm from a small town in Central Texas called Comanche. Grew up there. My mom still lives there. And anyway, one of the cool things I had an opportunity to do, though, is, be able to kind of get appreciation after I moved away and got into the Dallas-Fort Worth area to go back and now appreciate more of that small town, that country life, and just the slower pace. And so I appreciate that more as I've gotten older. At the time, not so much. But after I got to college, I could not wait to get out of that small town and go to college. And I did that in Abilene, Texas, which I found out was just more of an overgrown small country town. At the time, it seemed like a big city. And then I was very excited after college to move up to the Plano, Texas area. So I've been in the North Dallas, Richardson, Plano, Texas area for over 25 years. And one of the cool things that I've had the opportunity to do is really, I would say, kind of chase after some of my dreams, but it was one of those challenging things. I was taught to go to school, get good grades so I can get a good job with benefits. And so I moved up here, worked to do that as hard as I could, but I always had this entrepreneurial bug in my body, and my parents just didn't understand where that came from exactly. But fast forward, I tried different things over the years, from, selling some beauty products to nutrition products to different things while I was working in the corporate world. But one of the things I really realized is that, my hands were kind of tied with what I was doing in corporate. And even though I enjoyed the people aspect of it, being in marketing and business development, predominantly through the most of my corporate professional career, I wanted to have a way to be able to have more control of my time. And my husband and I met back in 1997. Actually, 1996. We've been married since 1997. And we met through the mutual love of scuba diving. So that was one of the things some of my best friends and I started a scuba club here in Dallas that actually still goes till today, called Finn's Dive Club. And it gave us the opportunity to meet as divers. And so that's how we met and have had the opportunity to travel. And one of the things we both agreed on is that we wanted to really make life a grand adventure. Now, that's all great in theory, but when reality hits, you've got bills to pay, you've got, challenges happening economically, like back in, early 2008, 2009, we went through some tough times financially there. We lost a business, had to get reestablished with part of it with what I'm doing today, and just really overcome some massive hurdles in our lives to be able to really kind of figure out where we want to be and what we want to do and what we want our lives to look like. And definitely we don't have it all figured out yet, but having the opportunity to work from home and set our own hours and be able to take amazing vacations when we can, that has been one of the things, though, that we really worked hard to be able to do. And it definitely has not been always an easy road, that's for sure. I'll say it's been worth it. Nothing worthwhile comes easy, that's for sure. So that's a little bit about the where I came from. And I've been up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area since. And just to kind of fast forward just a little bit, we've had the opportunity over the last 12 years to take over 80 vacations.
Wow.
So it's definitely has been a great reward, although we're still in part of the struggle right now. But to have the opportunity to not only do that for ourselves, but to help other people has been pretty cool too. But yeah, so that's a little bit of my story.
So you kind of glossed over a little bit. So yeah, I know that warriors, and this is an interesting attribute of warriors. So we have, as we're going along the journey, we realize that there's things that are going to get in our way, and you have to work hard and power through those. And there's always things that can make you step back and say, well, yeah, maybe it isn't worth it or whatever. Or just tell me, the biggest zombie or biggest hurdle or biggest thing you overcame, because, we can't escape not having either within ourselves or outside of ourselves things that happen. So tell me a little bit about that.
Okay. Well, from an exterior perspective, and things that we can't always control, there's definitely been a lot of different things, but one of the biggest things was, and I think you also shared some of this and yours on a different way than ours was, but in 2008, 2009, dealing with a loss of a previous business. And my husband had gotten away from his IT training and consulting business that he had been doing for years. And we were full-time together on this other business that we had. And all of that came tumbling down and we lost it all. And including the residual income and stuff from that. So bottom line, that was probably the toughest thing, from speaking from that standpoint. And then granted, though, the things you learn is, we should have saved better. We should have been a little bit better prepared for some of that stuff as well. But from the standpoint of really the biggest zombie to me, outside of, something like that we can't control with the economy and things, is my biggest zombie has been myself. One of my friends talks about, your biggest enemy is the inner me. What's up here, what's in your head. And that has been my biggest zombie, quite honestly, because we go into zombie mode, right? And we constantly are battling that little 8-year-old on our shoulder saying, well, who do you think you are? You can't do that, whatever. And it could be things that we've been programmed with from the time we were kids. Money doesn't grow on trees, and we're programmed that money's not easy to make, or, all these other just little tapes that are playing in our head. And then I think when we go through challenges and things happen to us, we can either learn from it, you can get bitter, or you can get better. And I know that there's been times, especially through that hard time, 2000, even starting in 2005, 2006, 2007, 8, that I really went through kind of a time period where I was really trying to figure out how to get myself out of what I felt was kind of like this pit I had gotten myself into, with stinking thinking, as Zig Ziglar would say, and having just kind of these mental blocks and hurdles, and I know so many times when we expect good comes, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And sometimes, we get into these little self-pity parties, and I was really good at that. And I still can be good at that. I think the thing I've learned is that you can have that pity party, just try not to stay in it too long. And one of my mentors used to say, you can have your pity party, but, get over it. Set yourself a timer for 10 minutes or whatever and get over it. Now, I didn't always do it that fast, but I think once we become more aware of those things, but yeah, without a doubt, my biggest zombie I've had to overcome is getting out of my own way. And, whether it's self-doubt or fear of something or whatever it is, it's definitely has been myself.
Yeah, it's actually every warrior listening to this podcast, and probably every warrior that I've talked to thus far, they would probably say, yes, I fight that zombie every day too, because I can tell you I fight that zombie every day. I fight the zombie of, are you really think you're good enough? It's a thing that I call having level. It's like, okay, I've got enough. Why should I want more? Or why, other people don't have. That's good. I mean, it's really good stuff. So we do have the opportunity, and the fact is, when the next segment, when we talk, we're going to talk about your, why you're doing it, what you do, and the value you're providing today, and that's what powers you forward. So the things that we talk about, like you said, the things that whether they're a financial collapse or a loss of a business or loss of a spouse or loss of health for a while, all of those things, what you're saying to me is they're all part of your story, but they haven't stopped you.
And one of the things you just said reminded me of another zombie time that kind of threw me into a deep zombie state, kind of, was within a period of about 4 years, I lost 3 grandparents and then my dad. And that was one of those hard things that, like, when you lose, not only my father was the most recent back in 2003 from cancer, but then, 3 of them, I'd already lost a grandparent years before, but then the 3 living ones, to lose everyone between 1998 and 2003 type time period like that really was a big defining moment on my life. And I thought I was doing okay through it, but looking back on it later, I realized I did not adjust well, because it was like when things are pulled from your life, you get, sometimes mad at God or asking why and trying to figure out, your way forward, and not, looking back at the past and being afraid of, like, for example, me afraid of getting cancer because that ran in my family and took 3 of those 4 people. And, it's just different things like that you're like, oh my gosh, and the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And he'll try to put a spirit of fear in our hearts and rob us of the life that we were meant to live. And, I think the thing is so many times we allow people to rob us, or allow the enemy to rob us of things that God has for our highest good. And then we block our blessings because we're not in that way to be able to receive it through traumatic loss or through loss of business, finances, our own ways of thinking, when we're not prepared to deal with those things, as well as what we could have been. But it's life, we all deal with it, right?
Wow. I don't think I want to take this in any different direction now. That was a great place to kind of wind up this segment, because realizing the fundamental there, that we power forward and we're following our purpose even when things aren't going our way, and we know that there's forces always going to be working against us, and realizing, calling them what they are, and then continuing to get back on your journey. So that's beautiful. All right, well, we're going to take a quick break again, listen to a little more of Ricky Jean Wright, and we're going to be back again with Lisa Head and Warrior versus Zombie.
How many people know your name? One day you realize time was worth more than the gold. It's not the getting there. When you get there, you'll know. Funny how wisdom and youth.
All right, we're back at Warrior versus Zombie, and this has been an awesome journey so far with Lisa Head, and we heard her story, we heard some awesome zombies that she's overcome, and perspective that she had, and she's got an amazing mindset. And now we're kind of here today and talking about what Lisa's doing right now and why she's doing it. So Lisa, it's back to you.
Well, thanks so much, Dave. Well, one of the things that I actually have been doing for the last 19 years is I'm a professional network marketer, and I love the network marketing industry. Every time I think, nope, this is it, I'm done, the love for it just comes back. And I've been with two major companies, my most recent one for the last 12 years, which has to do with travel as well. So it combines my two favorite things with travel and the love of being with people and helping people become more than what they, probably could have done on their own. And so we've had the opportunity now over the last 12 years really to be able to build a global team and create residual income, which to me is truly the beauty of network marketing, of whatever company you're in. And my biggest advice, one of the things I've learned over the years, is pick one and excel at it, because the opportunity is there. I just find that most people tend to give up too easily, when somebody says no to them or whatever, and always say no isn't never, it's just not right now. And so I love that I have the opportunity to talk about what I think is the most fun product in the world, which is travel. Travel also happens to be the largest industry in the world. So that's one of the things I looked at is previously I was with a company that had a travel division. And that's how I've been in the travel industry for 19 years. Well, we had a travel division, but we also had health and wellness. We also had some business products. And one of the things I saw through the 6.5 years we were there, where we were some of the top earners in the company, is that travel was the one that had the highest retention and that had the most excitement. And so that was a big clue to me, and success leaves clues. And so that's the thing is, if you are in that industry of network marketing, if you've ever thought about it, find something that A, you're passionate about, that you can get behind and believe in. But then B, find something that, helps you be able to keep the attrition low, to where people aren't coming out the back door as fast as they're coming in the front door. And I found that with travel. So it's my area of passion, and it also helps retention on the team. And so I've had the opportunity now over the last 12 years to be able to impact a lot of people. I'm a national speaker with our company and get to train in front of audiences, and now online with Zooms and stuff too. It's crazy what technology is allowing allowing us to do these days to bring the world smaller. But then, of course, talking about travel, some people with the mindset these days are like, oh no, travel. I've had people call me going, oh, you poor thing. Well, no, actually, our company has actually exploded during the pandemic time, and travel is amazing, and it's going to snap back and snap back with a vengeance, because everybody's going to be tired of being cooped up, number one. And things will change a little bit from the standpoint of most people will probably travel domestically more first and then start going internationally. Just depends on somebody's, desire and what they want to do. And so we're positioning ourselves and coming out with some other things that will help recession proof us even more. But that's what I love about network marketing is it's recession proof. When the economy goes down as a whole, people look for ways to create plan Bs that they can work from home. So I love that part of it. So that's another reason I do what I do and why I picked this industry, to help people be able to, have a plan B that could eventually, if they wanted to, quit their job and become a plan A, or like so many people during this pandemic have become furloughed and they need something else. So it's been amazing to see how God has worked through this and helped people be able to, find and create a plan B, not just with my company, but in the network marketing industry in general. So I'm proud to be in that industry and proud to be a professional network marketer. So that's one of the things I do what I do. And one of the other things that's just a side benefit that you mentioned, and I mentioned too as well, is just having the opportunity to work with people and to share dreams and goals and vision with people, to find out what's important to them and help them be able to put plans in place to accomplish that and help people do that, to be able to train and develop other leaders. It's not ever to me about me being you have to be a leader first, but to develop other leaders, that's where the big impact is made, and helping people be able to, think bigger. That's one of my big, if you say kind of one of my giftings and stuff is, and it's not just with my current business, but I'm a big long-term thinker. I'm a big vision thinker. I can think in detail, and I can see things that other people oftentimes cannot see, and helping people be able to understand, what it's going to take to get from here to here if they're willing to put in the work and whatever it is that they're doing. So maybe some of that's a little bit of my psychology degree background coming out. I originally thought I was going to go on and get my master's and PhD and become a psychologist. I did not do that, but I still love working with people and helping people and being there for them to, just make a difference and make an impact. So that's a little bit about where I'm at today and why I chose this.
Yeah, I could see the your value focus, your focus on other people. I find it fascinating. People who are you are full-time network marketing, right? So that's what your full-time role. A lot of people don't. They get into it. They think of it as, it is a plan B. It's like, okay, I'm going to do my main gig, but then this is a plan B. And the thing is, it's not just that. Even if you can start in an area and build it and start with a little bit of effort, but it has to be sustained. And just like the song says, that we say it's a journey, it's not a destination. And we always underestimate, you say the attrition, the turnover, we always underestimate what can be accomplished over a long period of time with sustained effort. And we always overestimate what we can do in a short period of time. Some of that is this naivete, or people come in, they don't understand business. They think, okay, well, I can see how this compensation plan or how I can make this income, but then when it doesn't happen overnight, which never does, then they get discouraged. But that's where the warrior, the zombie, comes back and says, this is really uncomfortable. You're not successful. You need to go back and just do your job and not deal with this, right? I mean, that's the zombie coming out. And then the warrior says, shut up. I'm going to stay outside my comfort zone. I'm going to keep powering forward, and I'm going to be whatever. And so let me ask you this. What, if anything were possible, what kind of future, your dream, your vision of what you and Mike, your husband Mike, and anybody else, the world around you, what does that look like to you? What would you say?
Well, there's so many different areas, but they all kind of dovetail into the same thing. One is having the opportunity to travel and see more of the world and impact people as we go. we're always making new friends and, meeting people as we go and making new friends that way. But then aside from my own personal selfish ambition to travel the world and see the world, I think, Michael and I have had some conversations about this. Is like, that's all I want to do. I just want to travel the world and I want to see other cultures and experience that from their perspective, because I like to travel like a local. And one of the other things, though, he said is, he goes, yeah, but it's got to be beyond you or me. It's got to be bigger than that. How are we going to impact the world? And that's where what I do already so beautifully intersects that. Is that yes, we are in the travel business, but B, we're with a company that is global, to where ultimately where I see, if anything were possible, and I know it is, I just got to put in the work and get rid of more of my zombies to accomplish it, is to have a team of 1 million people globally around the world, and to be able to go to different countries around the world, teach, train, inspire, while I see my friends in those countries and get to experience the world that way. And oh, by the way, the income of $1 million+ a year would not be a bad side benefit from that either. So that if anything were possible, that's what I would absolutely love, is to have an international speaking platform, to be able to go around, teach, train, inspire, impact, not just for my business or my company, but in general as well, and have an international speaking platform. I enjoy speaking. It's one of my giftings as well. And so that would be, if anything were possible, I would love to have a global platform for doing that beyond just the business that I have. But I would love to see the business I have grow to that point, so that, and I have friends and mentors who already have that. So I see the path. And what do they say? You find somebody that already has what you want, see what they do and emulate that and follow that. And so fortunately, I've got mentors that are speaking that into my life. The key thing is taking that and doing what is that you need to do, because I still struggle with, I know what I need to be doing, so why don't I do it? How many else is out there like that, right? And sometimes there's just those days, it's like, I just don't want to. One of the most profound things my pastor and one of my mentors, he's one and the same, says, you've got to act your way into a feeling versus feel your way into an action. And I'll say that again for the back row. You got to act your way into a feeling versus feel your way into an action. And there's so many times, it's like even just something simple like going to the gym, which physical fitness and health is very important to me. And there's been so many times here, especially recently with the gyms being closed, it's like, I know I should go upstairs and get on the treadmill or whatever, but I don't do it. But then what is it? Once you like strap on your tennis shoes and you go to the gym, you're always like, yeah, I feel so much better. And it's that act your way into a feeling. If we waited till we felt like it, we'd probably never do it. Right. So there's times I hear his little voice in my head saying that, it's like, all right, suck it up, Buttercup, get out there and do it.
That's awesome. Actually, you just created a good place to kind of land the plane here, because I can't say it any better. I mean, action, moving forward, it is a journey. That's why I say you haven't arrived. You're not looking for a destination. Even when you travel, you don't stay in one place, right? You're moving around. You're having experiences. You're living a version of that life today. You're living a version of your ideal life, and you're going to continue on that journey. But yeah, you don't sometimes feel like doing things, but when you act and move, then that action actually then creates the feeling, because an action leads to a feeling, a decision leads to an action leads to a feeling. So the feelings are really just, if they weren't based upon your action right now, they're your zombie from a feeling that you had in the past that maybe wasn't necessarily good, that's trying to hold you back. So that's awesome. That's a great place. When we come back, we're going to come back to the last segment, the land the plane segment of Warrior versus Zombie. And I'm going to ask Lisa in the break here to think about one or two things that, if we remember anything about what she's talked about today as warriors, what those she would recommend to be. And then we're going to give you a little bit of, she's going to give us some information on how to keep in touch with her and how to connect with her after this podcast. So with that, let's listen to another
Funny how
It's Not
wisdom
the Getting
and
There
youth
by Ricky Jean Rock.
are always two different games. The years flew by so fast, is the common human complaint. The memories in our minds turn to diamonds in our soul. And by the grace of God.
All right, we're back. This is the Land the Plains segment with Warrior versus Zombie, and we have Lisa Head here, our fun broker, but she is an amazing warrior, and she's shared a lot of nuggets in these few segments that we've had already. And now we're going to ask her a question. If we take away one or two things from this whole podcast, what would you say, Lisa, would be the most important couple of things that we should take away?
Well, that's a really good question, Dave. In my head, I've got several different things. And I think just one of the number one things is to be true to yourself and be true to the dreams that God put in your heart and not be afraid to go after them. And I'm always focused on, working to build a business with a mindset of how I can love people and impact people, for God's kingdom, and having the opportunity to share love with other people and to share Christ. I know that that's not the same value that everybody holds necessarily that's watching this, but that's one of the things that, I would certainly implore people to is put your faith and trust and confidence in God, because he's going to lead you to the areas that he wants you to go in. And so that would be one of the big things I would leave from that standpoint. And then the other standpoint is think critically about things. Don't just accept what you hear. And including in this pandemic, to think critically and don't just accept what, an organization that's supposed to be an expert on something says. Research it yourself, do your own critical thinking, and get to the truth that you need to get to for you and for your family. So that would be another little nugget as well. So, trusting God, number one, number two, think critically about things, do some critical thinking. And those would probably be my top two things right now that I would leave you with.
Yeah, well, actually, those are two top really great things from a warrior standpoint, right? Having your source, you call it God, you call it, some people might call it the universe. It doesn't matter what label you put on it. You have to be connected that's outside yourself and really know that you're fulfilling your own dream, which is kind of what you said. That's a beautiful thing. And then the other thing is, which really is important, one of the things with 5 millennial children and other things is, don't just take what somebody tells you is the right or wrong thing and without understanding it and critically and analyzing it themselves, including, hey, you can't do this, you can't be successful at this. I mean, really, don't take that. You get the chance. You're free. You have the opportunity to define those things. So those are great nuggets. Let me ask you this: how do we stay in touch with you? You've obviously, I'm sure, have inspired quite a few folks here to say, hey, I want to get to know Lisa Head a little bit. Maybe they also want to say, hey, I want to travel. Hey, give us a call. I'm ready too. So reach out, and how can we get in touch with you? What's the best way for somebody listening to this podcast to follow up with you, Lisa?
Well, I'm definitely on social media with Facebook and Instagram. If travel is of interest to you, definitely follow me on Instagram at Travel with Lisa. That's my page on Instagram, and it's all just devoted now to travel images of our own travel. I don't plagiarize other people's pictures. They're all my own that I put on there. So if you want to see some of the fun things we've done and get some ideas for some of your next bucket list items, check out Travel with Lisa on Instagram. On Facebook, I have Life by Design Travel. That's my page on Facebook. Honestly, I haven't been quite as good at keeping up on that. We're going to start working on that more with Life by Design Travel. Of course, people are welcome to friend me personally too under Lisa Causey Head. And then I have my email, which you are certainly welcome to email me at, which is lisa@lifebydesigntravel.com. So lifebydesigntravel.com is kind of a basic website. If anybody really wants to reach out and get more information from me, just definitely email me or private message me on Facebook or Instagram. And I am happy to share any other insights with you I can, or help you with anything travel related, whatever the case may be. So those would be the platforms to reach me on.
Yeah, and also since we have people that are listening to this podcast, I think you mentioned to me you're going to be doing another podcast. As a podcaster, I'm always appreciating people mentioning this. What's the name of the podcast you're going to be doing? An interview on travel?
Yes, it's gonna be travel stories, some funny travel stories that have happened to me. Some of my favorite destinations we will be talking about as well, and it will air on June 8th. And the podcast is Travel Brews, travel and then BREWS.
Okay.
Travel Brews podcast. And I know it's all on the major podcast platforms as well. And so that will be airing on June 8th. So y'all can check out my Travel Brews podcast for more travel fun and adventures.
More from Lisa from another podcast. That's awesome. Yeah, I always like to share the love between podcasters, and you can hear a little bit more of Lisa's adventures. And so that's pretty exciting. I like to hear that. So, well, we're down to the end here. I really appreciate you being with us on this journey, Lisa. Thank you. You've been a great warrior, great guest. I'm happy and excited that God brought you into my path, and I've gotten to know you a little bit. Hopefully we'll be traveling the world a little more together over time. But anyway, for those of you who may not have tuned into Warrior versus Zombie before, or you haven't already, I'd appreciate it if you would basically listen to our upcoming podcast, listen to the past. This is actually episode 8. So love to hear your feedback. Please share, subscribe, of course. And we're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, Google Podcasts, Spreaker, Castbox, Deezer, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, and then we're on YouTube as well. So you can pretty much find us wherever you're listening to podcasts. So whatever you listen to wherever you're listening today, you can find that, and probably can find the next one that Lisa's on there as well. So anyway, and if you want to reach out to me, myvisionwarrior.com is a booking site. If you would want to be a guest or would like to pursue any of the topics we cover here, our guest topics, or find out how to chase down some of our guests that maybe you couldn't find through their information, happy to do that. I'm also at My Vision Warrior on Instagram and also Twitter and Facebook as well. So anyway, it's been a pleasure again, Lisa. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, this has been a lot of fun. Thank you. It's been good. And so we'll finish up with the final segment of It's Not the Getting There with Ricky Jean Wright.
It's not the getting there, it's the journey every day. It's not a race to see how many people know your name. One day you realize time was worth more than the gold. It's not the getting there, when you get there you'll know. One day you realize time was worth more than the gold. It's not the getting there, when you get there you'll know.